Hey y'all, welcome back to the Hoffmann Homestead. We are in my garden today for week 3 of 2023's garden tours. So we're going to take you around, show you what's going on in the garden and some of the progress that we've made, and giving ourselves a little bit of winter inspiration for when things are cold and not so green. We are in central Illinois, zone 5B, pretty close to 6A. So take that for what you will. Our last frost date is around April 27th, so we've been going for a few weeks, but this year we had some pretty cold weather farther than that. So we're feeling a little behind, even though we are not, and we still got plenty of time left. We live here in town, so we are, I guess, urban homesteaders, though we are still very rural. We're in a very small town, far, far away from any major stores. We have 5,500 square feet of gardening space and then some more area for the kids to play with and whatnot. This garden is actually built on an old lot that used to have a house on it that was pretty run down, and the village knocked it down. So we bought it from the village, and now it is our gardening space. We are in love with it. We are still very much building it. Probably will be for the next few years because of just how large our dreams are. I say our, but it's my husband going along with my crazy dreams. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it and see what's growing. Okay, so we will start on our front arch. These are cattle panel trellising that we make into an arch. This one's a little wonky and we've got to fix that this weekend, but we did raise it up. Last week this was sitting on bed level, but we added an arch trellis, and we wanted to make sure that this center arch trellis was bigger and badder, if you will, because we will have other arches on the other side as well. So this one went up and is now a little wonky, as you can see at the top. All right, so once we walk through our trellis, we have this gorgeous rose here, which actually looks like it's gonna pop its first bloom soon. If I can get it to focus on it, we'll see what happens. There we go. So it's got a bloom that's going to pop soon. It's got a couple other little blooms on it, but this is the first one that's showing color. It's supposed to be orange, so we'll see what happens. On this side of the bed, I just planted some blue butterfly pea, but I'm not sure that it's coming up yet because those are weeds that I have just everywhere else in the garden. So still patiently waiting on these. Then just around the corner, this is my youngest son's bed for this year, and he is in love with flowers. We just taught him how to deadhead, so he's been keeping up with these guys, and they just keep producing blooms, and I'm just thrilled that this is going to be his first year with his own garden, and he's already loving it so much. He's definitely really into flowers. Then over here on this next bed, we have some blueberries, which actually have some fruit on them, which is nuts. I don't know if we'll get to eat any this year because we have some serious squirrel and bird pest pressure at the moment, but we're gonna go to the store today and see if we can't find some cages so we can at least preserve our blueberries. Same for this one over here. This is a blueberry, but this one does not have any fruit on it this year, and that is a-okay with me. Just outside of our gardening space, we have another bed, and this will be for blackberries and raspberries. We just have one of each right now, but I really want to see this space just explode with them so we can keep all of the fresh berries while they're in season. All right, hopping back into the garden, the most exciting thing that happened to me this week, we have loofah. Look at that. So I didn't document my journey last year with gardening, but loofah was on my list, and I planted loofah twice on an arch trellis last year, and neither time did the loofah even germinate, let alone grow to fruition and give me loofahs. So it had been a few days since I planted it, and I am one of those people that every time I plant a seed, I think every day I must have done something wrong until it pops up, even though it's not supposed to be germinated yet. So that's what was happening this year. It was like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe the loofah seeds are bad. Maybe something is wrong, but I have freaking loofah and it's gonna grow and I'm gonna have a loofah this year on an arch trellis, and I am beyond excited. That is the most exciting thing that has happened in my garden this week. So there's our loofah, and then across the way is our mint bed. We have our, I want to say peppermint, but I think that's spearmint. Peppermint, chocolate mint, which is doing amazing, and then our catnip, which is actually popping up a few extra leaves, so I think it's taking, but it definitely got really leggy inside, so we're gonna let that guy figure himself out. Next, this was an empty bed, and then we had a random potato that reseeded itself, I think from last year's garden. We moved the soil into these beds, and it looks like we moved some potatoes too. So random potato that I'm just gonna let sit there because I may put potatoes in the rest of this bed. And then we'll move into some of our 20-foot beds. This one we have our artichoke, which is doing awesome. Remember how small that guy was? We have some leaf damage. I don't know if something's eating it or if it's struggling with the sun, so we'll keep an eye on that. Our big artichoke, look at that guy. I cannot wait. It's gonna be amazing. And then another smaller artichoke with some weeds around it, because we grow weeds in this garden too. Here's my eggplants. Some of them are doing okay, but some of them, I'm pretty sure it's frying. I think it's getting too much sun exposure, so I need to get some shade over here for these guys. But hopefully they'll pull through until I get that. This is a empty other than weeds bed. And then in this bed, we've got this section I'm saving for okra, which we'll probably plant in the next week or two. And then we've got our zucchinis, which I have green zucchini and yellow, I guess it's yellow squash. It's not yellow zucchini, but we went through and thinned these out this past week so these guys can start taking off, and it looks like they are already with their little weed buddies next to them. So that's super exciting for them. At the end of this bed, we have some spaghetti squash popping up, which is also exciting because it was taking forever and I thought it wasn't going to for a while. And then back up this bed, we actually have onions. These 3 are from my yard, so that was more or less an experiment. But we have lines of onions. I just fertilized these with some emulsified fish, and they look like they're doing better, but they're still struggling a little bit. I also still have these onions to put in. I will be honest, I have ADHD, so the thought of going through and taking each of those and putting them in a little hole just sounds awful to me. I'm gonna do it, but that is why they're still in a container and not already in the ground, because I have had time to do it and I just am not looking forward to it. All right, now this herb bed, we have the yarrow, which is doing just fabulous. We have our basil, which is doing okay. Again, it got pretty leggy. I need to probably thin these out. It's gonna break my heart to do that, but it'll definitely be better for them. I typically will just pinch them off and try to disturb the roots as little as I can. So I'm just gonna pluck that guy off. And I may go ahead and dry the little bits of basil that are here. There we go. I'll come back through and do these other guys later. Ooh, I think that's cinnamon basil. If I could let you guys smell it, I really would. An onion from my yard. Chamomile, which I can't wait for that to take off because I have a lot of chamomile I want to dry this year. Some more basils. The marshmallow is doing incredible. some empty space where I'm waiting for some seeds to come up. Some more basil over there and more basil right there. And then our massive lemon balm. All right, in this bed, we have some seeds that have not yet germinated because they're torturing me, and it's fine. I will figure out some patience. And we have some rhubarb and asparagus that I think may have been put in the ground a little late. It's not doing a whole lot, so we'll see what happens there. And then some weeds, because that's gonna happen. Oh, I think, hello. This is a watermelon, I think. Look at that. I am in desperate need of some watermelon. Then out in the pepper bed, I have some peppers struggling because of the sun exposure. You'll notice this guy looks pretty sad, and it is because he gets sun basically all day. These are doing all right. They get a decent amount of shade in the morning, but then pretty much all day long, everything gets a ton of sun. And fun fact, peppers like a little bit of shade. So I think we're gonna figure out a solution for these this weekend to give them a little bit of reprieve. All right, now in our in our tomato bed, we have some tomatoes that are doing awesome, some that are laying on the ground, and we're getting trellises this weekend to get those finally up. We have a basil. I believe this is a lemon basil. Look at those tomatoes. Those are amazing. These are delicious tomatoes right here. We have our first flower. Oh, hello. Fun fact, tomatoes have both parts, I guess, to produce fruit, so they do not need another pollinator. They actually have one of the parts above another part. Look how scientific I am. And then if you just like shake it, it'll pollinate itself, because that part at the top falls into the part at the bottom, and then boom, you make fruit. So I like literally come in here and shake this little guy, and that's gonna make a freaking tomato. Our first flower. Oh, we also had some beans pop up this week. Lots and lots of beans. We've got 2 rows on this bed all the way down the bed. So that's pretty cool. We're excited about that. That's, I think, my husband and I's favorite part of the garden, and our favorite fresh eating vegetable from the garden is beans. So we're very excited for the beans to come. We've got some San Marzano tomatoes, which are doing just beautifully. More San Marzano. Ooh, another flower. This one's a black crim tomato, which I'm excited for. I put this right in the middle of the sun because I believe it is sun exposure that makes that black color stand out or come out more. So there we go, this little guy. I need to come through and do some pruning, and we will likely do that after we get the additional cattle panels up. So we'll tie them up to it so they're standing up straight, and then get rid of all of those bottom leaves that you see are yellowing, just to keep the disease away. Because another fun fact, diseases will come up through those leaves and then infect the entire plant, and I want to prevent that from happening. All right, walking down more tomato lines. What is that? This is real life. We have trash in the garden sometimes too, apparently. Our Romas, these were the smallest plants going in, and they're looking really good. They're just shorter than the rest of them, which is fine. We've got some more beans, and then we have this weed that is just everywhere in my garden, just everywhere. But it's fine, we're gonna take care of it. More tomatoes, more tomatoes. and then some more tomatoes. And then we have another lemon balm over here, which is doing pretty good. They're actually getting pretty big over here. Behind us, we have another bean bed with those crazy weeds. If you guys know what this is, let me know. Here's what it looks like when it gets a little bit bigger. It's everywhere. We had some squirrels come in and eat a lot of our pinto beans, so it's a little sad. But we do have some other beans popping up in between the weeds that we're pretty excited about. So then we have some navy beans, which this one's doing pretty good. The squirrels aren't bothering them so much, so apparently pinto beans are their favorite, and we'll keep that in mind next year. This bed doesn't have a lot going on. We did plant some seeds on this edge. We're doing watermelon, squash, stuff like that, so we can grow into this area over here once I move the trellis or the T-posts. But none of those have popped up quite yet. I'm gonna be patient. It's gonna be okay. All right, now moving on to the other side of the garden. This is one of my favorite beds at this moment. We've got some really beautiful cabbages, some some radishes that kind of floated down. They were supposed to be over here, but that's okay. So we've got some radishes growing, and then celery. The celery is actually doing really, really well. This is one of the smaller plants, but I think it's just gorgeous. We started these from seed inside quite a few weeks ago now. Apparently celery takes just forever to grow, so we'll wait on it for a while longer. These cabbages are doing amazing. Look how big these are. That's just bonkers. And you can see they're starting to head up a little bit. Hopefully they speed up because it's going to start getting hot soon. Speaking of getting hot, apparently the bok choy are a little bit more sensitive to heat, but that's okay because I wanted to get seeds from our bok choy anyway for growing next year. So here's some of the flowers that it produces, which I think are just really pretty. And that massive plant. It's kind of funny how it grows its center stalk, and then it like winds up into its little flower buds. This one next to it is also going to seed, which I'm all right with. I'm actually probably going to feed this one to the chickens and that one to the chickens. And then this one I will save the seeds. I may save the seeds from these guys too. Then we have 3 bok choy that are still doing all right. This one's about to go. If you see that first guy's coming up. I need to just harvest these and make a dinner out of them, and we'll probably do that tomorrow. Really good sauteed with some butter, garlic, other vegetables. Throw in some red chili flakes. Delicious, fantastic. Especially over some rice with some potatoes. Delicious. More cabbages that are doing amazing. I just cannot express how proud I am of these cabbages. Even if they go no further, this is so much better than they did last year for me. So whatever happens next with these cabbages, I'm calling it a win this year because we have learned something. Some more celery on that side. And off to our next bed. You'll notice a 2x6. Last week it was a 2x4 over our carrots. I wanted a wider space so that I can get more rows of carrots. So this guy is just waiting for me to plant my next row of carrots. We've got some broccoli, collards, cauliflower, some more cabbages, I think. All of that over here. On this edge, if you'll see those little green things sticking up, those are peas, and many of them have been eaten, but we're excited nonetheless. Most of the ones that have been eaten are over here, so at least they're leaving this side alone, but you know. Then we have our carrots. We grew these under a 2x4, y'all. Check those out. I love it. All right, in our adjacent bed, we have a random potato, which is just the theme of this year's garden, random potatoes. And then I did throw some sunflower seeds in here because this bed is gonna be a little bit of a mess soil-wise. So I just wanted to throw in something pretty because I doubt that if I put anything food related in here, I'll get anything good out of it. So we're just gonna pop in some pretty things, let this be a wildflower garden. It'll help bring in some pollinators and it'll be a nice little space this year. This one, we may do the same, just a bunch of flowers, something fun or some things that I can feed to the chickens, and we'll let that be what this is, but we still have a lot of planting to do. All right, and now we're going back up. First, we have this broadleaf sage, and look how good it's doing, guys. I was a little worried about this guy for a minute, and I definitely need to get some kind of mulch in here because this thing is muddy, but just look how awesome that is. That's all new growth. It's all strong, beautiful. I absolutely love it. Very excited for this. I started this from seed and I didn't have a lot of hopes to begin with, but it's doing really well. It's surprising me. A basil. As you can see, everything's just kind of muddy, so we need to get a mulch in here and fast. This guy is, I think that it's struggling, honestly. So it's got some new growth in the center. This is our marjoram, but all of the original growth is doing pretty rough. And I think it's because of the muddy environment, but I'm not sure. I've never grown marjoram. Honestly, I don't even cook a lot with marjoram. It was just on a list of medicinal things I wanted to go for, so we've got hopes for this guy. We've got lots of hopes. And then a rosemary that we started from seed, which is just doing beautifully. That one is just forever gorgeous. Some fenugreek, which is doing its thing. Check that out, some new growth. I could probably bury these stems and let the new growth just do its thing. What do you guys think? And then we've got some fenugreek over here doing its thing. I don't remember what that is. Oh, yes, I do. That's stevia. It's pretty small, slow growing, but it'll be fun. And then we've got some parsley, which I could just come in here and take off the older stuff. That's a little leggy, and you know what? That'll make it produce even more. So win-win. There we go. Look at that. Gorgeous. We've got, I want to say, German chamomile over there. And this is not the best view of my bee balm, but check out my bee balm. It looks way better on this side. I'm sure you guys have some of those plants too, where one side is your side to see and then the other side is for other people. And then we have some strawberries. I gotta say, I'm a little mad at the birds and squirrels because every time we get a red strawberry, they eat it before I can. So, you know, they suck. They're rude. We also have that strawberry bed, which is doing pretty awesome. This bed has a thing here other than weeds, but it's not coming up, so I don't know what's going on with that, but let's check out our green stalk because it's gorgeous. Look at that strawberry. I'm hiding it, so hopefully the birds can't see it. But look at that. Just beautiful. I'm thinking tomorrow we can eat that guy if a bird doesn't get to it first. Then we have some Swiss chard. I believe this is more Swiss chard. This is a rainbow mix. Oh, some more strawberries. Look how cute. This pocket has a ton of strawberries in it. Look at that. That'll be awesome. Some nice nasturtium. We have a pretty wild snap pea that has not produced any fruit, which makes sense because there's only one of these, but I think it's just really pretty. No, baby, I'm making a YouTube video. Yeah, a YouTube video. He thought I was talking to him. All right, then we've got some carrots in here, which it's really just greenery at this moment, but that's fine. We've got some radishes that are probably gonna be ready to come out soon. More carrots, strawberries. This thing is just amazing. I'm really glad that I got the Turner this year. And we have another one that we want to set up and put on the opposite side, but this one's just beautiful, just gorgeous. And that strawberry is gonna taste gorgeous. All right, and this is my eldest son's bed. He hasn't done any planting yet, but we will probably do that next weekend. I did put some of the flowers that he picked in this section. I'm really hoping that they take off, but I've mostly grown vegetables, so we're learning how to grow flowers. In this bed, I am growing containers, and I'm really good at it, as you can see. Also growing containers. And then I put something here. Oh, honey nut squash. Nothing's come up yet, but that'll be really fun on this front trellis. Good work, Amber. I don't know that we have anything on this one, but I watered it just in case because I am known to forget things. Containers that need to be planted out in Neverland. And we're back to our rows. All right, so that's the end of our garden tour today. I really appreciate you guys coming along with me and just enjoying this space with me. I can't wait for what it's gonna look like 3 years from now because I have so many big dreams. Guys, it's gonna be awesome. But nonetheless, thank you for walking through and seeing what we're growing, if it's just a weed or if it's an artichoke. I really appreciate it, and it's been pretty fun making these videos, so please like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to share. That helps me out tremendously trying to boost these views. So y'all have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. I hope you had a great Mother's Day, and we'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget that you can do anything that you put your mind to. So just try it. Just grow something.